morning. So, in every good action movie or superhero movie, the ending is always the same. They always end up destroying their enemy, taking down whatever force they've been fighting. But the ending would not be nearly as exciting if we didn't know what they were fighting and we hadn't seen the journey they had been on. And so I want to talk to you today about naming who are your enemies and who are you fighting. Who is it or what is it in your life that God has already defeated? Wow. So growing up, we would hear a lot of talk and language of, Satan's your enemy. But what did that mean? What did that mean to my own life? To me, that felt very abstract and large. But in my day-to-day life, what are my enemies? Who are my enemies? And God has said I have power over those. But what is that I have that power over? And so during worship at Immerse a few months ago, I just asked the Holy Spirit, I said, all right, what is it? Who are my enemies? We sing a lot of songs and read a lot of verses that have very warlike, battle-driven language and a lot of conquering your enemy and taking down your enemy. But that always felt very large and kind of unknown to me. So what was that? And during worship, I went into this vision and was in this room with Jesus. And he said, look around. Here are your enemies here. And standing around me were human-like figures that represented shame, doubt, fear, comparison, and imposter syndrome. It's easy to say the intimidation in that room was intense. But standing in the middle with Jesus, there was just unknowing peace, overwhelming. And as I looked around, he said, these are your enemies. These are the things that I've given you power over, and these are the things that I've already destroyed.
Wow, come on.
So the mindset shift that brought allowed me to have a deeper understanding during worship or while reading my Bible of what exactly it was that had been destroyed. So in 1 Samuel 2:1, Hannah is praying and says, I rejoice in the Lord, my heart is exalted in the Lord, and I smiled at my enemies. And that verse already is hugely powerful. It was one of those ones that was I have the power to just smile at my enemies.
Wow.
But then when I replaced that word enemies with one of the actual enemies that had been revealed to me, it brought an entirely new shift. The power that comes with saying, I can smile at my fear is huge.
Wow.
Being able to smile at my doubt is a big deal. And then again in Psalm 143:12, and it says, in your steadfast love, you will cut off my enemies and you will destroy all the adversaries of my soul. And again, when you're able to replace and know exactly who those enemies are that you have named, you are able to take back that power and be able to say that in your steadfast love, you've cut off all of my doubt, and you will destroy all the fear of my soul.
Come on.
And as the vision went on, I saw the verse Psalm 23:5, as you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, kind of overarching the whole vision. And as we were standing in that room, he said, look around. Look at the table that I'm preparing for you in front of all of these enemies here. And whenever I'd heard that verse before, it's when I had heard a lot, I always pictured a grand banquet table, a really big, ornate ballroom with a table that's meant to seat hundreds of people and, very elaborate and over the top. And that's kind of always been the picture I had had. But the problem with that kind of table is that it lacks intimacy. You only can talk to the person sitting next to you or across from you.
Yeah.
You are in a room packed with people. You might not even be sitting by anyone you know. And the person that prepared that table, your host of that table, you might not even be able to see them depending on how big the table is.
Yeah.
And so as I looked around, the table I saw sitting there was just a little cafe table, a table meant for two. And a cafe table is a table, that you would meet someone you love, that you would be on a date at. It's just a small table, just big enough for about this size, just big enough for your food to sit on. And a table like that is a place that's meant for connection and intimacy and vulnerability at a table like that. And so as we sat down, he said, sit with me, let's eat. And as we sat at this table together, there was like a force field around us, a clear force field so I could see out. And on the other side of that were all of those enemies trying to get in. And he said to me, they don't have a seat at this table. It's just meant for us. He said, I prepared this table for you in front of your fear.
Wow.
I prepared this table for you in front of doubt and unbelief. This table is just for us. They have no seat here, and they don't get an invite. And being able to look out on the other side of that and see them trying to come at me gave me so much power that I was able to take back.
Come on.
He said, I gave you the power and authority over these enemies in your life. So stop giving it back to them because I gave it to you. So I just got such a new perspective shift when I was able to see what it was and who I was, who I had the power over and where that was. And we gain such a new strength in being able to know what it is and have that victory. The victory is sweeter when we're able to see what the battle and journey we've gone on to be able to then stand at the other end and say, no, you don't have power here. You no longer get this. I have power over you, not the other way around. And being able to have my eyes open to that, being able to have my eyes open, and there are times now where I can just, having that image, I can take myself right back to that table and say, no, whatever this feeling is, this thing that I'm battling right now, this is on the outside. This does not get a seat at this table. And so being able to have that language for myself has allowed me time and time again to come back to that table, come back to that spot and see that one-on-one time and just be at that table with Jesus and have him say, no, they're not here, just me and you. So I want to activate that for you really quickly. I want you to close your eyes and just take a moment. Picture yourself sitting at that cafe table. Picture yourself just sitting with Jesus. It's just the two of you. And on the other side of that force field are whatever enemies you have that you're battling in your life. That could be your fear, guilt, anger, doubt, depression, addiction, whatever it is in your life. And that's on the other side of that force field. It doesn't get a seat at your table. It doesn't get a seat with you in Jesus. Now, whenever you feel those things come on, whenever you feel those things attacking you, take yourself back to that seat and picture yourself with just Jesus.
In Jesus, we were reborn as overcomers. Immerse is not only a school, it's a baptism, an immersion into the three greatest truths a believer needs to be an overcomer. Love without excitement and mystery becomes duty, but romance keeps our love burning for Jesus. Our greatest lesson is learning to be loved. He is better than we think. Grace isn't looking for perfection, it's drawn to our weakness. The more we yield to His perfection, we grow in favor with God and man. Our second greatest lesson is learning to live in the pleasure of the Father. It's easier than we think. You were created to bring God glory. There is a specific glory that only you can reveal. The Holy Spirit has come to awaken and empower you to walk in your design. Our third greatest lesson is learning who we are and what we were designed for. You are more important than you think.